Hello, and welcome to Tree Talk.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Do 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 do.
Hello, and welcome to Tree Talk. And today we're going to be discussing modern day feminism here in the US and what I believe the movement should do to improve itself. Now, when I discuss feminism, I don't as much mean the dictionary definition or the striving for equality of the sexes, because I have nothing against that. Instead, I'm discussing the issues to me that seem to be highlighted as women's issues by groups like the Women's March that I disagree with. I think if the feminist movement can fix these problems that I highlight that just really don't need to be pushed for, I believe that the feminist movement can be a unifying movement instead of kind of a niche movement. So let's start by looking at pay equity in the workforce. The National Committee on Pay Equity says that pay equity is a means of eliminating sex and race discrimination in the wage setting system. This sounds good, this sounds nice. But what they use as basis for that is the gender wage gap, which has been disproved several times in the last few years. The gender wage gap says it purports the myth that women make roughly 80 cents for every dollar a man makes. This widely cited data by the US Census Bureau actually compares the median earnings of all women working full time versus the median earnings of all men working full time. The data shows that median earnings were about 51,000 for men and 41,000 for women. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that women are being discriminated against in the wage setting system, as the National Committee on Pay Equity says. What instead is the reason for this disparity is that women tend to work in lower paying fields, negotiate for lower salaries than men, and take off more hours due to often being caretakers for children. Lesser median earnings by Black and Hispanic women could be explained due to high rates of single parent families in these communities, as well as other cultural factors. So you see, the reason for a difference in pay is not because of sexism in the workplace, as modern feminists will suggest, but because of biological preferences and cultural differences. Going further, some feminists have called for an equal percentage of males and females in each job field before equality can exist in the workplace. Again, no, a job field could be 90% women, almost
Whammon.
a job field could be 90% men and 10% women, or vice versa, and there could still be equal treatment of all workers. Okay, so the belief on the wage gap and workplace equality is flawed. But what else is there that I disagree with? Reproductive freedom. So, what exactly is reproductive freedom, anyways? And what's my problem with it? Well, according to Pro Choice Ohio, it is every woman's right to be able to decide for herself if and with whom to start or grow a family. That is what reproductive freedom is. Now, I'm going to state this right out of the gate. I have nothing wrong with this alone. A woman should be able to decide if she wants a baby, and if so, when. A woman has the right to do whatever she wants with her body, just as anybody does. But when we get into the abortion territory, I have to say stop. This isn't because I want to stop the termination of a pregnancy. It's because I want to stop the destruction of a life. Yes, that's right, a life. A fetus is a life. Whether it's up for protection or not, you can debate, but you cannot deny that it's a life. An organism is alive if it maintains homeostasis, that is the maintaining of steady internal conditions such as body temperature, is composed of cells, undergoes metabolism, can grow, can adapt to its environment, can respond to stimuli, and can reproduce. Now, the only questionable one here is can reproduce. A fetus does not have the ability to reproduce, but at the same time, neither do humans until puberty. Otherwise, though, a fetus measures up to all of these qualifications, so then isn't a fetus alive? So what, critics might rebut? Let's say the fetus is alive. It has not changed the fact that before the protection of a woman to get an abortion, many women were still legally and unsafely getting abortions, often resulting in death and suicide. Okay, let's say I concede on that note. That doesn't necessarily mean that abortion needs to remain legalized, simply because it stops this sad and horribly unsafe practice that can lead to a loss of life. Because while solving one problem, you're creating another, the loss of an unborn life. Why not determine a way to stop unwanted pregnancies before they even occur? This would not be an anti woman decision, but one in their favor. Instead of fixing a serious problem by creating a moral dilemma, it would fix a serious problem by preventing it from ever being a necessity in the first place. Now, here's another problem I have. It is the feminist focus on diversity. Before any comments are made, let me clarify that I'm not against diversity by any means. I simply think that it shouldn't be as great of a focus as it is. Any one group, whether it be a cast for a movie or workers for a company, do not have to be composed of an equal amount of each race. Increased representation does not inherently solve anything. Sure, it leads to different voices at the table, I guess, but it doesn't always necessarily lead to good. The increased push for a minority has led to the alienation of the majority. Feminism should focus instead on unity, which brings all of these different people together with different backgrounds, different races, cultures, identities, and such. Their womanhood. Let's now look at my final problem with modern day feminism here in the US. Its focus is too narrow. Now, this, like my other criticism, doesn't apply to all feminist groups, but it seems to me that many do heavily focus on the problems of women here in the West. However, if feminism wants to make a real difference, I believe it should focus on the oppressive cultures of the rest of the world. I understand that feminists see lots of problems with the West, but it isn't here that 40 to 50% of girls are being married off before their 18th birthday. Not here that girls are denied the right to basic education. Not here that speaking out about sexual harassment will lead to you losing your job or being killed. Look, it's very unlikely that anyone will see this video, but I strongly believe if these changes are implemented, that feminism can truly become a unifying force once more, reaching across the aisle and bringing everyone together. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, please share. Peace.